Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Butt Fumble Sports Show on this best of days, the kickoff of the NFL season. It's the Hall of Fame game tonight, kicking off on ESPN and ABC. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, giving us our first taste of pro football this year. It is so great to be with you. We have a ton to get into. We're officially into August, which means it's fantasy football season, it's pro football season, college football's on the horizon, we have the Olympics going on, we have baseball going on. It is a great time to be a sports fan, it's a great time to be alive. I am so happy to be with you guys, no matter where you're watching, no matter the platform. Welcome to Butt Fumble Sports, so happy to have you. I hope your Thursday has been amazing. I hope it's about to get a whole lot better on our show, watching our show, and of course watching a lot of sports tonight. We have the Bears, we have the Texans on tonight. We're going to kick off our football coverage for the rest of the month tonight by talking fantasy football. We're finally there. If you want to join us in NFL football drafts and fantasy football drafts, we will be starting them tonight on Rival Fantasy throughout this show, so DM me on Instagram. Let me know if you want to join a league. Last year, Rival Fantasy paid out for those that won the league. I make no promises for this year, but I am going to do my fantasy football, at least for this show, on Rival Fantasy for the moment. So if you guys want to join a fantasy football league for the season, you can join tonight. Set it and forget it. It's entirely up to you. There were payouts last year. We'll see if there are this year. DM me on Instagram, Butt Fumble Sports. That's Rival Fantasy. That's where we're going to be doing our fantasy football drafts for the day, for the week, and hopefully for the season overall. So DM me on Butt Fumble Sports on Instagram if you want to join that. We are going to be doing sports betting research as we do every day, looking at killersports.com, looking at Outlier to try to get the best sense of how to bet MLB games. I'm probably not going to put down any bets myself around the NFL game tonight because given who's going to be on the field, it's the ultimate showdown of players that'll be in the UFL or UFC or whatever it's going to be, some other sport in a few months. But that said, we will be talking baseball tonight. The picks that I actually have are already up on my big board. I'm going to disclose those in just a moment. And of course, we'll be going through some of the trends behind those. So if you guys have questions, we're going to give out picks. Make sure you guys are letting me know what you guys care about tonight. That's what we're going to focus on. If you want to do fantasy football, either mock drafts or real drafts, we're going to do that. If you want to do sports betting research, we can do that. It's entirely up to you. And it is a kickoff of my favorite time of the year. Truly the best time. From August 1 to the end of the year, we have football, we have baseball, we have basketball coming up. It's just great times, and obviously the Olympics is a nice little bridge. But as we get into everything, let us know what you guys care about. I've put out a poll question over on TikTok. I'm just curious, do you guys care more about sports betting conversation? Do you care more about fantasy football? We're going to get into all of it. No matter what you care about, make sure you hit the follow button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're with us every time we go live on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, Kick, Instagram Live, and over on Twitter. We're even on Twitter X going live over there. I've already put up my picks up on the board. I'm going to show that to you guys right now. I have the Royals on the money line tonight as one of my favorite picks. Royals on the money line. I am taking the Orioles on the money line in what is a very good game between the Orioles and the Guardians. That is the marquee game of the evening, probably across the sports world, given that the Hall of Fame game isn't really a showdown of elite top depth players on each side. That said, I also like the Braves on the money line, Charlie Morton on the mound. So we're going Royals money line, Orioles money line, Braves money line. A bit of a heavy favorite play there. Only the Orioles, they're kind of even money with the Guardians as of right now. I like the Cubs to cover. Cubs plus 1.5. Shota Imanaga on the mound against the Cardinals. I could see that one kind of being a split decision. It depends on who the favorite is, who the underdog is. I saw Cubs as an underdog when I made the bet, so I took them plus 1.5. But I think this is going to be a one-run difference either way. I think I like the Cubs more, though. And I have the Angels on the money line. Those are the picks in baseball. I'm giving those out right away. Those picks, we can back those up by looking at Outlier. Outlier is where we get all of our research from and our market data from each day. We can also look at killersports.com where we look up our trends every day. But it's special time of year. It's fantasy football time. If any of you guys want to join a fantasy league with me right now, we are joining leagues. We are putting that out there. If you guys want to join Butt Fumble Sports, DM me on Instagram right now, and we are going to start fantasy football leagues. You heard that correct. Fantasy football leagues are officially open. We're doing them on Rival Fantasy. Last year, those paid out. I make no promises. Not my company. They sponsor the show, but hopefully this year there are payouts as well. Either way, I treat it as it's free football, and hopefully there's a payout at the end. So if you guys want to get into some fantasy leagues, DM me right now, Butt Fumble Sports. Carter Newman wants to join. Carter Newman, you are getting your code right now. I'm going to share that with you. So if you guys want to get in on Rival Fantasy, again, fantasy football leagues, we're going to be doing that throughout the month, obviously leading up to the season, and probably a few weeks into the season. What platform? That's Rival Fantasy. You can do that. It's an app. You can do it on the web, rivalfantasy.com. You can look it up, Google it, Rival Fantasy. It's just, I do ESPN, I do Yahoo. These guys sponsor the show. I had a great time with them last year. They paid out, which obviously everyone was happy about. It's free to play. So if you guys want to be a part of it, let me know. Blue Team, any pick for the Hall of Fame game this evening? I do have a pick. If I had to go in any direction, I'd probably take the Bears to cover. I'd slide it up a little bit, take Bears plus 3.5. You guys know I like to move the lines, especially in football. Bears plus 3.5, and I take the under. I just expect to see a lot of sloppy play, but don't be surprised if the starting quarterback of the Bears plays a little bit better than everyone thinks. This guy showed flashes last year when Justin Fields was out. And is it Badgent? He has a little bit of moxie to him that I just love. And don't tell that guy this game doesn't matter. This guy's playing for his life. I also like to remind everybody, and this is one of my favorite facts about this individual, one of the greatest, if not the greatest players in the history of football started their career in a Hall of Fame game. It was Tom Brady. Patriots played the 49ers in the 2000 Hall of Fame game. Tom Brady played, and that was the start of his career. The first snaps he took in a Patriots uniform in an actual, game or preseason game. So we will see some players tonight who will have a major impact on not just their teams, but the future of football. So it's going to be an exciting time. I hope you guys are pumped about it. I certainly am. It's just a wonderful time of year. Caleb Williams will not play, but I expected that. Caleb Williams wasn't going to play. It's disappointing. I think there are a lot of reasons that actually I would encourage football teams to actually play some of their starters in the preseason, but I understand the risk is getting too high, and I actually think this is actually a reflection on the analytics age that we're in, that we're starting to actually evaluate risk, as opposed to only saying, oh, someone needs reps, we want someone to have experience. We're now getting to the point where risk is a part of every conversation in a way where we feel like we can calculate, or NFL teams feel like they can calculate it to the point where they can talk themselves into not playing their starters. I feel like that's a mistake. I feel like Caleb Williams getting adjusted to the NFL game is a good thing. And whether it happens in preseason or it happens in week one, I think there is a difference. You can just start to gauge, ramp up your ability, ramp up your understanding of the game. So I think it's a mistake there. No, Lollapalooza, you're absolutely right. They won't risk injury. It's too bad because I do like to evaluate players in the preseason. Call me crazy, but there's a Victor Cruz on every team. There's a Julian Edelman on every team. There's a Malcolm Rodriguez, the linebacker for the Lions. So it's always nice to scout, whether it's for fantasy football or whether it's for just football fan sake overall. Again, we're getting into it now with fantasy football. If you guys are interested in joining a fantasy football league, it's open, it's free. Hopefully it has a payout. That's up to the guys at Rival Fantasy. But we are doing a fantasy football league and loading it up now. If you guys want to join, DM me on Instagram, Butt Fumble Sports, Carter Newman. Are you doing any free leagues? That's what we're doing now. So if you want to join, DM me on Instagram. Jacob Forte, what's up, dude? What do you want to talk about? I'm almost open to having people join the show, but I'm curious to know what you want to talk about first. Elliot Robinson wants to join fantasy football. Elliot's one of our favorites. There you go, Elliot. Look forward to playing some fantasy football with you over the course of the year. So we're doing Rival Fantasy. We're getting that started. Of course, we're also talking about what's going on in baseball. If you guys want to make some picks or here's some picks. I'm going with the Royals. I put this out actually on SHARPZ earlier today. One of the reasons that I really like the Royals in this game. Royals are a favorite in this one with a line, I believe it's still at like minus 155. When they've had a total of minus 150 or greater, Royals are 20-7. When that's been on the road, they're 7-5. I understand that. But in a night game, funny enough, 13-5. So, yes, better obviously at home, but they've played well at night on the road with this kind of game. Not great on the total here, but where I saw the line earlier was 160. Interesting. I don't see any free leagues. They're all buy-in. Am I missing Carter Newman? This should be my league, which is a no buy-in league. If I steer you in the wrong direction, let me figure it out for it should be for this league. Someone's already joined. So yeah, Robinson, you've joined. Elliot Robinson knows what he's doing now. Carter Newman is the one that's struggling. So Carter, just let me know, because now we know. Josh is joining. Great to have Josh be a part of the league. Again, we're getting into Rival Fantasy. Jennifer, message me on Instagram. That's Butt Fumble Sports on Instagram. So again, we're going to start doing fantasy leagues, everybody. Appreciate you guys being with us. Hope you guys are doing well. We are talking about what's going on in baseball as well. Royals money line, Orioles money line, Braves money line, Cubs plus 1.5, and Angels on the money line. Those are the picks that I'm going with. Zion, I'm taking Cubs plus 1.5. Dwayne Cruz, I'm taking Royals on the money line. Looking at where the market's coming down, market's showing that the Royals are a very strong play. The money's behind that. As for that Orioles Guardians game, money is favoring the Orioles to win, but the Guardians to cover. Not surprised by that action. As for the Braves and Marlins, similar story. Braves on the money line is a good play, but they're thinking the Marlins could be a good play on the cover. Cardinals and Cubs. Cubs are the good action play on the money when it comes to the money line. And Rockies and Angels. Angels obviously getting a lot of love there. Rockies are getting some love on the cover. B, you like Guardians on the money line. Personally, I'm going the other way. I like the Orioles on the money line on this one. I went Orioles on the money line. Let's dive into some of the trends on that one while we wait for people to sign up for fantasy football. Orioles on the road for this one. Orioles on the road. Are they an underdog? Nope. They're a favorite. No, they're kind of in between. They're this even money play at minus 105. Very interesting on the road. One of the things I looked up earlier today is how have they done against teams with a winning record? Obviously, the Guardians, one of the better teams in baseball. On the road against a team with a winning record, the Orioles are 14-6 so far this year, 13-7 on the run line. I looked up when this was a game on no days of rest, 11-3, closing it out, a night game. This is where I found Orioles undefeated. Just hear me out on this because this is a bit of an algorithm here. When the Orioles are on the road on 0 days of rest in a night game against a team with a winning record, 9-0 straight up, 8-1 on the run line. I know that's a lot to spit out right there, but that's actually a decent sample size, a 9-game sample size. Again, no days of rest, on the road against a team with a winning record. Not that actually crazy a scenario, so a 9-game sample size. They've won every single one of them. This is the first start for Trevor Rogers. He is making his Orioles debut. Really quick, I really just want to see how the Guardians have done against a left-handed starting pitcher so far this year. When they faced a left-handed starter, 24-8. 24-8 are the Guardians against the left-handed starter. When they're at home against the lefty, 11-3, 7-7 on the run line. When they've been a home dog, they're a home favorite in this one at that minus 115, 10-2 straight up. So reasons to be in the Guardians side. I could totally understand it. I could see both sides of this one. Might be one that you want to avoid. Kind of a tricky play. I am taking Orioles on the money line. I feel better about that. The starting pitching matchup between Trevor Rogers and Ben Lively, I preferred Rogers, but I can understand why this is a close one here to go on either side. If you guys want to get in on the Fantasy Football League that we are getting started over on Rival Fantasy, Cesar Torres, one of our loyal viewers, sending you the link right now. Jennifer, another loyal viewer, sending you the link right now. Cubs, Cardinals play today. Weather looks iffy on that game as someone hit me up. Yeah, weather does look iffy. Good chance of rain. So Cubs, Cards could be a wash. Definitely something to look out for. Appreciate you guys being with us. Hope you guys are enjoying the show, enjoying the content. We are going to kick off our first Fantasy Football League of the season once we load up enough teams over on Rival Fantasy. Right now there are 4 teams sitting in there. Butt Fumble Sports, yours truly, Elliot Robinson, Carter Newman, Josh Waldrop. We've got a couple others. This is going to be a 12-team league to start things out. Vince, all you got to do is DM me on Instagram. Butt Fumble Sports, DM me on Instagram if you guys want to join a fantasy football league. So Vince Ochoa, great to have you. Orioles money line, I'm with you, Cuevas. I took Orioles on the money line. I think it's a good play today. Brandon, Royals on the money line is where I went. I like Seth Lugo on the mound. Everything I've looked at today is really backing that. The Tigers are the only question I have about that is there's not a lot of history with their starting pitcher. Spencer, thanks so much for the gift. Great to be with you. Hope you're having a great day. Make sure you guys, if you want to be part of our first Fantasy Football League of the season over on Rival Fantasy, DM me on Instagram, Butt Fumble Sports. Too Fine K-Line, getting us started. Vince Ochoa joining the league. Great to have you guys with us. By the way, we're getting a question about the starting pitcher of the Marlins, Max Meyer. Not a lot of history behind him, so I'd probably avoid that play altogether. Not one that I'm really interested in. The one thing I would say, and this is just a question to answer Jansen's question, I'm not going to do the research on that one right now, but if you do want to look into that one, go to Fangraphs. This is how I always do the research on this. Go to Fangraphs and go check out how the Braves have done against his righty-lefty split, especially at home. That lineup's a little bit wonky, though. The numbers are different. So maybe narrow that sample size since maybe Ozzie Albies got hurt. That's something to go check out. The Cooper movie, thanks so much for the gifts. Thanks so much for the love. Really appreciate feeling the love. The loyalists are coming out. Those that have been in leagues past are coming out now. Bobby, thanks so much for joining. Yeah, Jansen, big shout out to Fangraphs. I love studying Fangraphs when it comes to strikeout questions like that. You can use Outlier, but the trends are kind of different. The trends are really talking about past matchups and less so. It's nice to see consistent trend over the last 5 or 10 starts, but the matchup of the evening kind of takes the forefront. What about Sonny? Same thing. So if I were doing Sonny Gray, this is an easier one for me to do, so I'll jump over to this one while we continue to fill out the league. Let's take a look at Sonny Gray. We're looking at strikeouts for Sonny Gray. Now again, this game could be washed out. I would actually avoid this altogether on strikeout plays. Just a notion, when you do have weather in the area, I'm always worried about a starter goes for maybe an inning or two, then there's a rain delay, that starter's pulled. Sports books are not always friendly about that, so over 6.5 is at plus 134. Hasn't been a very good trend. If we narrow it down to just in road games, it has been better over his last 7 starts. He's really hugged that 6 strikeout line, so I would tend to say buy it down. If you can get it at the 5.5 at a decent number, you can. Minus 160 at over 5.5. Not a terrible play. It's hit in 8 of his last 10 starts on the road. Head-to-head against the Cubs, though, it's hit in 3 straight games. So where would I go with that one? I would take the over 5.5. If you can get it at 4.5, I love the play. But again, be very wary about that when there's weather, just because you always got to think the chances the starter actually sees, the 5-6 innings it will probably take to record 5-6 strikeouts just goes down. So something to think about. Appreciate you guys being with us. If you guys want to join that fantasy league, Gabe Lester wants in. Gabe Lester, welcome to Butt Fumble Sports, and welcome to the fantasy league that we're kicking off. If you guys want to be a part of it, it's over on Rival Fantasy. We're filling it out right now. It's going to be a 12-team league. Obviously I'm going to be in this one. Now, in the past, Rival Fantasy has paid out for leagues. I make no promises about this year. They sponsor the show. I haven't heard whether they're going to do payouts or not, but I'm going to do the league. It worked out really well last year. It was a great way to get you guys involved. So if you guys want to join a fantasy football league with us, it is our first one of the season. DM me on Instagram. That's Butt Fumble Sports on Instagram. You can join the fantasy football league. We're just going to keep doing this. Once we start one, we'll keep starting them like we did last year. So I am here for whether it's questions. Kyle Klein just joined. Great to have you. So if you guys want to be a part of it, get in on the action. Otherwise, if you are here for sports betting conversation and trends, I have put out some of my picks based on the data that we looked at earlier today. I have Royals on the money line. I'm a very chalky play today. Royals money line, Braves money line, Angels money line, all favorites. I'm taking Orioles on the money line and Cubs plus 1.5. There are a couple players that I do like for player prop bets. Check out Marcell Ozuna. I like him to record a hit. When it comes to the Cubs, Ian Happ caught my eye. I like him tonight as well. Orioles on the money line. Anthony Santander is just raking on the road against right-handed starting pitching. I'm all on that. Gunnar Henderson, I did go with as well. Royals on the money line. At this point, Bobby Witt Jr. over 2.5 hits, runs, RBIs. Feels like a consistent play night in, night out. Now, that was over July. Maybe August will be slightly different, but I'm probably going to ride that one until it really burns out over a 3-game stretch or so. Appreciate you guys being with us. If you guys, again, want to get in on some fantasy football action, DM me on Instagram, Butt Fumble Sports. DM me on Instagram. We are going to kick off our first fantasy football league of the season over on Rival Fantasy. So once we fill up the league, there are 5 spots left. So DM me on Instagram, Butt Fumble Sports. Waddle, Pittman, Pacheco, pick 2 in a PPR to pair with Gibbs and Wilson. Man, I really like Michael Pittman this year. Call me crazy, but I think Michael Pittman is actually due for a very big year in that offense. I kind of like Pacheco and Pittman. I understand Waddle is flashier, but I also know that speed comes with a risk of injury. You also know he's not the number 1 wide receiver in that offense. That's obviously Tyreek Hill. And there are some good corners in that AFC East. You got Christian Gonzalez. You have Sauce Gardner. I tend to prefer, obviously those may go to a number 1, but those are just good secondaries in the AFC East. I'd go Pittman and Pacheco. I understand Waddle might be ranked higher, but I actually think Pittman and Pacheco might have greater production. So that's where I come out on that one, Michael. We're getting into fantasy football questions. Atomic Juice, pick 2 in a redraft. Zeke, Mostert, Singletary, or Ford. Ford's going to slot down a little bit lower, just where he is on the depth chart this year. Zeke's a really interesting play in Dallas. I don't know if I'm there. I'm certainly there with Mostert. Even if Mostert is still an RB2 to Achan's RB1, I'd go Mostert, and I'd go Singletary. I think Singletary is a sneaky good play for the Giants. Their offensive line may not be great, but I actually have more questions in some ways about the Cowboys' offensive line than I do the Giants. I'd go Mostert and Singletary, though Zeke is a very interesting third play if there's an opportunity there. Appreciate you guys being with us. What time is the draft? Gabe, the moment we load up everyone into the draft, we're going to start the draft. So that's how we do things here at Butt Fumble Sports. We just open up a league. The moment we fill it, we draft. So we're waiting on about 4 more slots. There are 4 more slots to join. So if you guys want to join a fantasy football league with us, Butt Fumble Sports, DM me on Instagram. Make sure you guys DM me now, Butt Fumble Sports on Instagram. Who can make a hit for the Cubs game? Let's go check that one out. We're going to check out a player prop bet now for baseball. Isn't it great to be able to talk some football mixed in with our baseball conversation? There isn't a Thursday left this year that doesn't have football. Thank you. So grateful to the sports gods for getting us there. We're checking out hits right now, though, for player prop bets. Looking over on baseball. This is the Cubs and Cardinals game. Cubs and Cards. Dansby Swanson was someone I looked at earlier today. He's 3 for 10 lifetime against Sonny Gray. Not ridiculously great, but against right-handed hitters, only hitting .210. If If I jump on over to him, he does have a hit in 8 of his last 10 games overall against a right-handed starter, 5 of his last 6 games, and at home against a right-handed starter. That's where the trend kind of falls off. So I have my eye on Dansby Swanson. You certainly could consider him, but not one of my favorites. Again, Ian Happ only hitting .225 against right-handed starters, but against Sonny Gray, 16 at-bats, a .438 average. That's ownership. That's a great sample size. .438 average in 16 at-bats, including a home run, 5 RBIs. He has a hit in 6 of his last 10 games against a righty, though. He has been slumping, so I understand not a great play, but at home against righties, the trend goes back up. So I'd say Ian Happ over half a hit is probably my favorite player on this one. Ian Happ over half a hit. That's where I'd come down on that one. Will, where do you rank Jamar Chase? I'd probably put him in my top 6 players in terms of production. Would I draft him? I would not. I tend to kind of fade him. I'd fade Tyreek Hill. I'd actually like to invest in the running back. So, funny enough, if I'm in a situation where I'd trade out of that spot. I obviously, if you're drafting at maybe 4 or 5, consider him. But I'd probably still go running back. Best O to back this season. Best offensive line to back is the Detroit Lions offensive line. Lions offensive line is loaded. Penei Sewell is fantastic. Decker is fantastic. That is the best offensive line in the NFL. That is one of the reasons why I think Jared Goff could be a very good, second quarterback to have on your roster. There are a number of receivers on the Lions that I'm very interested in. Keep your eye on Jameson Williams. He could be a sneaky good play for that team as well. But Jamar Chase, he is a first-round pick that I absolutely would consider. Again, if you guys want to get in on this fantasy league, we're kicking off our fantasy football coverage for the NFL season. We have 3 slots left. If you guys want to join our first fantasy league of the season, DM me on Instagram, ButtFumble Sports. The moment we get enough people to start the league, we will. So there are 3 spots left, 12-man league. ButtFumble Sports on Instagram. That's ButtFumble Sports. We draft the moment we fill up the league. Spencer Niles, keep CeeDee Lamb or go with Tyreek Hill. I'd go with CeeDee Lamb. Couple of reasons behind it. I don't have as much faith in Tua as I actually do have in Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's in a contract year. I think that makes a difference. I understand Tua just got paid. I don't have a lot of faith in Tua staying healthy. CeeDee Lamb, again, you think of the secondaries each team is going to face. I prefer to go up against the NFC East than the AFC East. I also think Tyreek Hill, I'm a little worried about age. I'm worried about breakdown a little bit. CeeDee Lamb is in his prime. Tyreek Hill, I understand he had a monster year last year, but that was last year. I think I'd keep CeeDee Lamb rather than chasing Tyreek Hill. Stumpy Rules, if you want to be a part of our fantasy football league, Diego just hit me up. ButtFumble Sports, our first fantasy football league of the season is open. DM me on Instagram, ButtFumble Sports. DM me on Instagram. Last year, these leagues had payouts. We'll see if there are payouts this year. That's up to the Rival Fantasy. But if you guys want to be a part of it, DM me on Instagram. ButtFumble Sports, DM me on Instagram to be a part of our fantasy league. Who's your sleeper NFL team? Jose asks. Well, too many people are saying the Jets, so I guess that's no longer a sleeper team for me. I think the Colts are absolutely a sleeper team. The Colts are extremely talented. If Anthony Richardson stays healthy, I could see them vault up and actually challenge the Texans and the Jaguars for that division. I don't think the Titans are as good in reality as they are on paper. I think the Titans are probably going to be a lot like the Panthers were last year, not in terms of win-loss record, but you look at them on paper and you go, oh, they have a lot of names that I like, but I don't think they'll actually produce as much as I think. Keep your eye on the Colts. I think the Packers are not a sleeper, obviously, but a team to watch out for. The Bears, if the Bears' offense could be anything, if Caleb Williams takes a step forward immediately, the Bears are a real threat. I thought the Bears could be a threat with Justin Fields. I think Caleb Williams is obviously a better passer of the football. They've got the starting pieces of a good offensive line. They have unbelievable pass catchers. They have an underrated defense. The biggest challenge, actually, that the Bears have is that they're in a really good division. So I think my sleeper teams are probably the Colts. I think the Browns are a sleeper team because they're not being talked about enough. The Bengals are getting a little bit of pub. Obviously, the Steelers get pub every single year. The Ravens, obviously, now they add Derrick Henry. Keep your eye on the Browns. The Browns are a very talented team. But here's the same. I'm saying the same kind of things. I'm saying the Jets. I'm saying the Colts. I'm saying the Browns. What do those three teams have in common? Quarterbacks with massive question marks around them. Can they stay healthy? Can they be productive? Can they live up to expectation? If those three teams get B-plus quarterback play from their current starting quarterback, not from the backup, but from the guy who they have slotted as the number one quarterback on their depth chart, those three teams could make serious runs because I think all three are talented enough on their overall roster to surprise some people. So that's where I come out right now. Again, if you guys want to join a fantasy football league with us, Butt Fumble Sports, we have 2 slots left. Butt Fumble Sports is doing a fantasy football league over on Rival Fantasy. If you guys want to join it, just DM me on Instagram right now. Butt Fumble Sports, 2 slots left. DM me on Instagram. I'll give you the link. You can join the league and get your fantasy football season started. It's August 1st. I figure I start off my fantasy football coverage with getting a league started. Reese Roll, if you want to join the fantasy football league, DM us on Instagram, Butt Fumble Sports, and we'll get you in that league. Can't wait to get started. By the way, only 1 slot left as El Pinche has joined the league. We have 1 slot left, and then we are going to start the draft. The moment we get enough people in, we will start the draft, and this is our first fantasy football draft of the season. I'm kind of excited, to be honest, just about how things are going to go. Now, this is going to be a snake draft. We are going to make it 30 seconds to... We're going to make it 30 seconds to pick. We're going to keep things going pretty quick. We're going to save... We're going to randomize the draft order once we have all the slots filled. So don't worry. No advantages to anyone who came in. Do you have a league on Yahoo? Kick Rocks, I do, but we're not going to do any leagues to the public on there. Rival Fantasy is just really easy for me to get people onto it, so that's why we do it in part. Thoughts on my 49ers. Okay, here's my thoughts on the 49ers. They are a great team. It is so difficult to go to a Super Bowl and then get back to a Super Bowl, especially if you lose. That's not me being down on the 49ers. If there's any team that can do it, it is the 49ers. However, just looking at the history of the NFL, it is so hard to play that extra month of football and then to go through another season and to be expected to do it again, especially when you lose. And I say when you lose because you are coming down from that mountain without the trophy, and I do think psychologically there is some wear and tear. You're seeing it in contracts too. Deebo Samuel, I think that Brandon Ayuk's going to be there, but Trent Williams, there are a lot of question marks. And Christian McCaffrey stayed healthy last year. I don't think he's going to play an entire season healthy. I think there are going to be weeks that he will be out. I wouldn't be surprised if he missed a whole month of the season at some point. So I really like the 49ers on paper. I still think the 49ers will most likely win that division. But do the 49ers make it past their first game? Do they make it to an NFC Championship game? Probably not. Right now, I would say I'd take the Lions and the Packers over the 49ers. That's just where I'm at right now, but that's high praise. I think those are 3 of the best teams in the NFC. Appreciate you guys being with us. I hope you guys are so pumped about the NFL season that we have ahead. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be an unbelievable year. I cannot wait to talk football with you guys as often as possible. Make sure you follow. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're with us every time we go live. Thoughts on my Spurs draft picks? The Spurs? The San Antonio Spurs? I think Spurs are in the ultimate rebuild, and I actually think the Spurs would love to suck. If there were ways... Look, we are now entering the Cooper Flag sweepstakes in the NBA when it comes to drafts, so I think there's a lot there. Make sure you guys are joining our fantasy league if you want to be a part of it. We're doing it on Rival Fantasy. If you guys want to join, all you have to do is DM me on Instagram. That's Butt Sports on Instagram. Butt Sports on Instagram. DM me over there, and you guys can join this fantasy league. We have one spot left, and then we're going to do our draft. So the moment we have the league filled, we're going to do our draft. So is McCaffrey still the number one overall pick in PPR? Rob K, he absolutely is. Would I draft him? If I'm in that number one spot, you're kind of bullied into it. You kind of don't have a lot of choices, given how drafts kind of are. But I'm not about it. B Daddy, I will follow and subscribe if you agree. Richardson and Taylor in backfield will lead them to... Look, B Daddy, I freaking love the Colts. I think the Colts are, like I said earlier, I would say they're one of my favorite sleeper teams, but I actually think they're too obvious now. The word's out about this team. I have a few questions about their offensive line on the outside, but it's still a top 10 offensive line. They have great pass catchers. Michael Pittman, I love that they just locked him up. They've got good pass catchers around. I thought Mitchell was a great draft pick. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor, and there's no doubt who's the number one guy in that backfield. So I love their offense. I think their defense has questions, and it's about health. Can Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor stay on the field for an entire season? Or let's just say 5/6 of a season, 4/5 of a season. Can they be on the field enough, especially in the big games? They need to be on the field when they're playing the Jaguars, when they're playing the Texans, because those are the games that are ultimately going to define this division. The Titans are a dangerous team too, at least on paper. So while I really like the Colts, I still think there's reason to have a little bit of doubt. Again, we've got this Rival Fantasy League up and ready to go. One slot left. But if you did come here for MLB picks, those are up on our big board right now as well. Carter Newman, J.J. McCarthy or Sam Darnold thoughts? I'd certainly start Sam Darnold. I'm one of those people. Call me stubborn. Call me someone who's looked at the history of the quarterback position and has actually seen a trend. I'd sit my draft pick. I'm a big believer, if you draft a quarterback in the first round, sit them. Probably, obviously, if you're drafting a quarterback at all, sit them while you can. The moment you put them in, not only are they on the clock whether they're going to be successful or not, but if you put them in too quickly, you may not... That egg is cracked, and you're never going to be able to put that back in the shell. So I'm always a believer in I'd rather have them sit too long than start too soon. Patrick Mahomes, sat. Aaron Rodgers, sat. Tom Brady, sat. Those are the three best quarterbacks of the last how many years? The last 25 years of the sport, those are the three best. I can go farther. Kurt Warner, sat. Eli Manning, sat. I know Peyton Manning. I understand that. But it is so rare. And Peyton Manning obviously set the record with interceptions in that rookie season. He learned, but he was the rare exception. I'm a big believer in sitting J.J. McCarthy. You want to start him week 5? Fine. That's like the earliest. I'd go a full month with kind of my veteran, and then I'd ease them in. Maybe Caleb Williams is obviously the exception to the rule. He's in that Peyton Manning category. Jaden Daniels, fine, but I like what the Patriots are going to do with Jacoby Brissett. I think Sam Darnold's the right move. Ease these guys in, because if you lose them too early, if you break them, mentally, psychologically, if you break them, you'll never get them back. And then you just invested so much draft capital in that player, not to mention actual capital at this point. Anthony, Gibbs or Williams? Oh, it's Gibbs for me. Gibbs is the guy. B Daddy, O-line top 5. I totally agree with you. For the Colts, absolutely. Again, if you guys want to get in on this fantasy league, our first fantasy league of the season, DM me on Instagram, ButtFumbleSports. DM me on Instagram to join the league. We have one spot left, and then we're going to draft this league. So we wait for the last spot to be filled. So DM me on Instagram if you want to get in on this league. Yeah, Carter Newman, it's 11 of 12. Sorry to make it difficult for you. Steve Young. Steve Young's a kind of an exception to the rule, though, Jose, because Steve Young obviously went to the other league. So the USFL. So he played right away. Kind of not a great example, and that was obviously a different league altogether in terms of talent. So Steve Young, you could bring him up, but he's not a great example of it necessarily. I think Eli's actually a great example of it. Is you had a Kurt Warner, you had a veteran who maybe had a history or had reps, but obviously it's just far better, I think, to sit them. By the way, Anthony, thank you for being the one to join the league. Here is the code. Here's the link. So we are about to fill up this fantasy league, and we're going to draft our first fantasy football draft of the season over on Rival Fantasy, BFS number 1. Guys, if you join the league, get ready because we're going to draft the moment that we get our final member in slot number 12. Bryce Young is a good example of not sitting as well. Carter Newman, here's a big part of that. If the team was drafting a quarterback in the first round, they probably didn't have a very good team last year. Very rarely do you have a Baltimore Ravens where you're drafting in the final third of the first round and then adding a quarterback there. So usually you have kind of a shit team around that rookie quarterback like the Panthers did. You might try and buy up an offensive line or receivers through free agency, add through the draft, but it takes time to build a team that actually is good enough to prevent teams from crushing or killing a quarterback. So Bryce Young is the perfect example of it. Gabe Lester, it's my first draft of the year as well. I'm super excited for it. I hope you guys are pumped. Jose, Tony Romo, great example. Good call out. Tony Romo obviously he sat for years and finally came up through the ranks. Kick Rocks, Baltimore traded back into the first round for Lamar. Exactly, this being my point. Teams that are good enough to trade. By the way, Chiefs did that as well. They had Alex Smith, and then they obviously traded into that first round or moved up in the first round. That luxury usually doesn't come to the teams that are drafting the Bryce Youngs of the world. That first pick overall, top 3 picks overall. By the way, all 12 slots are filled. Let's set up this draft, everybody. This is going to be a snake draft. 30 seconds on the clock for everybody, so we're going to keep it moving for the draft order. Randomized. Elliot Robinson, congratulations. You get the honor of the first pick overall. Let's get started, everybody. I am pumped for our draft. This is going to be our first draft of the season. Setting up the draft. Set the draft time. Can I start it at 5:40? I think I got started at 5:45. So we're going to start it in 5 minutes, everybody. Draft time in 5 minutes. 5 minutes to start the draft. I am excited, everyone. 5 minutes to start the draft. I am 4 minutes now. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. First draft of the year. By the way, we are going to talk through the draft as I make picks, just to kind of help you guys out. See if there are ways that you guys can take a little bit from our draft for your drafts at home. Diego, last pick is the best. I'm glad that you feel that way. I am currently drafting third. 3:30 on the clock. Kick Rocks, I'm drafting third. Puts me in an interesting position. In this slot, I would expect that wide receiver is where a lot of people are going to go. McCaffrey, Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. Those are the players that are coming out early. In terms of ranking, Breece Hall is ranked 4th. Kind of an interesting spot to be here. I don't love drafting in the top 3. I'm not going to lie. I really do wish I was in the back half of the first round. Kick Rocks, take Tyreek Hill or CeeDee Lamb. That's what it's looking like it's going to be. It really comes down to who goes in front of me. What's the scoring? How many teams in the league? 12-team league. Brian. Let me actually check it out. Scoring settings. This is a PPR league. This is a PPR league. I should reference. This is a PPR league for everyone who's asking. PPR league, you can check out scoring in the settings. We have 2.5 minutes to go, so plenty of time to go check out the settings on this one. But this is going to be a 12-team PPR snake draft. 12-team PPR snake draft is what we're getting going. I did hear the news. Mike Trout out for the year. Single tier. Very sad. Arguably the best baseball player of his era. is certainly at that back end, that back slide of his career. Hall of Famer, no doubt about it, but very, very sad. Kick Rocks, this is going to be a full PPR league. In your opinion, what's your favorite draft spot this year? Last or second to last in the first round is probably where I come down. Otherwise, it's around like number 7. If it's not that last, if you're in an 8-man league, that's 7-8, but that's kind of where the tipping point is. If I'm in a 12-team league, maybe it's closer to 10. But I like being at the turns, especially at the end of the first round. I like doubling up on positions. I think there's just a lot of value in kind of getting ahead of what, there are runs on positions. I like to set the run rather than to be on the kind of back wave of it. Appreciate you guys being with us. Hope you guys are excited about the fantasy football season. Ty, sorry you missed out on this fantasy draft, but we are going to do another draft immediately after this. I'm just going to keep doing this all night. I've decided I am in fantasy football mode. I am pumped for the fantasy football season. We are starting our first fantasy draft right now. 12-team, full PPR. It starts in 50 seconds. Again, if you guys are focused on our picks for this evening for baseball, you can find those on the SHARPZ app. The SHARPZ app has all of my baseball picks, so those are up and available. I will be showing my picks after we do our fantasy draft. Still plenty of time to get in on those. But we have 30 seconds until our first fantasy football draft of the season. Congratulations to all the fantasy football players out there, all the fantasy football owners that are excited to start their season. This is our first team of the year, our first draft of the year. It gets going for real. I am so pumped. Happy football season to all of you as we have 10 seconds before our first fantasy football draft of the year. It starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the fantasy football draft has started for Butt Fumble Sports, our first of the year. Happy to have you guys with us. So excited. Elliott Robinson is the first on the clock, and he takes Christian McCaffrey. No surprise there. 30 seconds on the clock for all of these picks, so they're going to move pretty quick. CeeDee Lamb goes number 2. Interesting spot I'm in here. I'm actually going to jump up. I'm going to take Breece Hall. I'm going to surprise a few of you. I really didn't want to take Tyreek Hill or CeeDee Lamb. I'm going to take the running back, and I'll go Breece Hall. It's a PPR league. I understand there's value in the wide receivers, but didn't feel good about it. Wanted to take a running back and knew that the spot I'm in, that's a long turn for me to wait for a running back. Justin Jefferson went number 5 after Tyreek Hill went number 4. So we've had 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs. Kyle Klein takes Bijan Robinson. I thought about Bijan. I like Breece Hall maybe a little bit more just because the rankings on this one. Amon St. Brown went to Gabe Lester. Really like that pick at number 7. Number 8, Saquon Barkley. So we've had 4 wide receivers, 4 running backs go in the first 8 picks. Vince Ochoa takes a quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. I don't like that pick at all. Definitely think that's a reach. Could have gotten him in the 3rd round. So quarterback going 9th overall. Vince, don't agree with you there. I do think Patrick Mahomes is worth drafting. Really like the wide receivers that they put around him, especially compared to last year. But getting him in the 1st round, not about that. Jamar Chase goes 10th. Bit of a surprise there. Saquon and Patrick Mahomes going ahead, especially in a PPR surprise. Jennifer went Travis Kelce at number 11 overall. Think that's a bit high for the tight ends. I wouldn't go quarterback or tight end in the 1st round. That's just where I come out. El Pinche, with his first pick at the turn, pick number 12, takes A.J. Brown, and at number 13, El Pinche, with 20 seconds on the clock, went wide receiver with the first pick, and the first pick of the 2nd round is Jahmyr Gibbs. Not surprised by that one. Jahmyr Gibbs. So I'm surprised Jahmyr Gibbs fell to the 2nd round. Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes going in the 1st is how Jahmyr Gibbs fell to the first pick of the 2nd round. Really surprised by that one. Kick Rocks, yeah, I think quarterback, wait till rounds 2, wait till rounds 3, but this is why we do these drafts. This is why we get started. Long way to go. Jennifer took Travis Kelce with her first pick. Jonathan Taylor at the 2nd pick. I really like that. Jonathan Taylor, second pick of the second round. Really like that one. Agus479, who took Jamar Chase in the first round. This is pick 10 of the first round. Pick 3 of the second goes Garrett Wilson. 2 wide receivers. Love what you've done there. Chase and Wilson, really good there. Kyron Williams went next. Travis Etienne, very interesting. Coach Joe Warren going Saquon and Etienne with the first 2 picks of his draft. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Puka Nacua for Gabe Lester. Gabe, love your wide receivers. If they do what they did last year, love that play. Kyle Klein, Bijan Robinson in round 1, Devontae Adams round 2. AJ took Justin Jefferson round 1, Derrick Henry round 2. Interesting with Derrick Henry. Isaiah Pacheco goes with 9th pick in the second round. I'm going to go Josh Jacobs. I'm in the 10th pick of the second round. I took Breece Hall in the first round. I like doubling up on the running backs. I really like Josh Jacobs. Breece Hall, Josh Jacobs, my 2 running backs in the first 2 rounds. Marvin Harrison Jr. goes in with pick 11 of the second round, pairing nicely for Carter Newman with CeeDee Lamb, Marvin Harrison Jr. Joe Mixon is the last pick of the second round rather. Christian McCaffrey and Joe Mixon for Elliott Robinson. Joe Burrow, first pick of the second round. Kind of surprised again. Quarterback's going to be there, but 2 quarterbacks now off the board. Carter Newman has taken 2 wide receivers. I expect a running back here after CeeDee Lamb and Marvin Harrison Jr. On the board is Achane. No, he goes wide receiver. Achane, White, Cook, Kamara, Walker, all on the board. I'm going to take the chance. I'm going to go with Drake London. I really like the addition of Kirk Cousins. He'll be my first wide receiver. I kind of wish I could have gotten someone else. I would have liked him in a 4th round. But in the 3rd round, after I got the running backs I wanted, don't hate the Drake London play. By the way, Bryson, I do like the Orioles on the money line this evening. I do, but I think it's a coin flip of a play. So I actually think that's what I would normally avoid. But based on the bets I made, I did go Orioles. After I took Drake London with the 3rd pick of the 3rd round, Alvin Kamara went with the 4th pick. Brandon Ayuk went with the 5th pick. Kind of interesting to take someone who's in a contract dispute. That may be solved by the start of the season, but kind of an interesting time. Jefferson, Henry, and Ayuk for that team. Achane goes with the 6th pick of the 3rd round to pair with Bijan Robinson and Devontae Adams as Kyle Klein enters an auto draft. Gabe Lester goes quarterback with Josh Allen. Quarterbacks are going a lot sooner than I expected. 3 quarterbacks through the first 3 rounds. Very surprised there. Jalen Hurts went. Quarterbacks are coming off the board very, very quickly. I think it's a mistake. But 4 quarterbacks now through the first 3 rounds. Vince Ochoa on the board as we make our way through the 3rd round. Really surprised by it, Porter. Bryson, Braves -1.5. I prefer them on the money line, but I think there is value there. I like the Michael Pittman Jr., Vince Ochoa, Michael Pittman Jr., love the pick. Getting him in the 3rd round. I didn't like the Patrick Mahomes in the 1st, but frankly, Kyron Williams, Michael Pittman Jr., and Patrick Mahomes, that's a solid team, at least the start of one. Agus up, Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson with the first 2 picks of their draft. Interesting, James Cook. Then Cooper Kupp went next. El Pinche now has that turn around the corner at round 3 and round 4. El Pinche took A.J. Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs with his first 2 picks. Picks 3 and 4 coming up now. Boy, a lot of fun doing some fantasy football with you guys. We're going to do fantasy football for the next 5 weeks. So we're going to do fantasy football every single day for the next 5 weeks. We're going to do a fantasy football team. By the way, El Pinche went Deebo Samuel and Kenneth Walker. Love what I'm seeing from his team so far. Brock Purdy comes off the board. Quarterbacks coming off the board. 5 quarterbacks are gone by the 2nd pick of the 4th round. Don't get it myself, but I'm going to be someone who waits on a quarterback, that's for sure. especially in stake drafts. Mike Evans goes next. Not a bad pick. Agus, I really like what you're doing with your wide receiver core. You're weak on running back, but it's okay given who you have at the wide receiver position. 2 good wide receivers and a good flex play there. Rashad White is the 4th pick of the 4th round, pairing with Kyron Williams on a team that has Patrick Mahomes and Michael Pittman Jr. Not a bad squad. Didn't like the Patrick Mahomes in the 1st round, but still getting good value. Joe Warren goes Jalen Waddle with pick 5 of the 4th round. So far, only 1 tight end off the board. Not anymore. Gabe Lester goes Sam Laporta. Love that pick. Sam Laporta. This is a good round to get him. Round 4, round 5. I think that's the right time to go after a Sam Laporta. So a really good pick from Gabe Lester. Shout out to you. Stephon Diggs goes with the 7th pick of the 4th round. Kyle Klein. Loving that team. Bijan, Devontae, Devon Achane, and Stephon Diggs. Some good brand names there. Bryson, you like the Bears tonight? I do, especially at a plus 3.5. If you're able to move the line, plus 3.5. Too valid. Appreciate the words. C.J. Stroud comes off the board. And once again, quarterbacks continue to move. I'm going back to the well on wide receiver. I'm actually going to go with someone who I think isn't getting enough conversation. I'm going DK Metcalf. I think DK Metcalf continues to be one of the best wide receivers in the league. I have a lot of faith in him as long as he stays healthy. So I'm going DK Metcalf. Leo, I do like under on the game. I do like under tonight. Mark Andrews came off the board after I took DK Metcalf. Zay Flowers came off the board as the last pick of the 4th round. 5th round, 1st pick, DeAndre, great to see you. 1st pick of the 5th round, coming out now, is Elliott Robinson. Goes with George Kittle. George Kittle off the board. Seems to be a bit of a run on tight end right now. Kyle Pitts, Kincaid. I am going to go Dalton Kincaid. I say that. And I'm the run on quarterback now with Lamar Jackson gone. I'm going to take Anthony Richardson. I'll take Anthony Richardson in the 5th round, probably a round sooner than I'd like to, but the run on quarterback has been significant. I really like what I mentioned, Anthony Richardson. I love him as long as he stays healthy. So I went with Richardson, especially because I'm going to get the rushing yards as well, rushing touchdowns as well. So once Lamar Jackson went, changed my thinking. I was going to go tight end, but I had to go with the quarterback instead. Kyle Pitts, speaking of tight end, comes off the board in the 5th round, 5th pick of the 5th round. So we are making our way through the 5th round. Jordan Love just came off the board. Quarterbacks flying off the board. Really surprised. I'm very much reacting to this draft. Sean, if you want to join a fantasy football draft with us, DM me on Instagram. Buttfumble Sports, DM me on Instagram. If you guys want to join a fantasy football league with us, we are going to open up leagues and let you guys in. So if you want to join a fantasy football league with us, we're going to do another one right after this. So just DM me on Instagram. We're going to do a second league tonight. So DM me on Instagram if you want to join the league. Again, that's Buttfumble Sports on Instagram. Trey McBride just came off the board. Tight end is now the run. After there was a run on quarterback, it's now a run on tight end. Not seeing as many wide receivers. Not seeing any running backs. Malik Neighbors and Amari Cooper did go. Jaden Reed went. Now we're to El Pinche. El Pinche's that turn. He took Nico Collins, who kind of fell. I was surprised Nico Collins went last pick of the 5th round. El Pinche's, you've got a nice combination of players right now. Jahmyr Gibbs and Kenneth Walker in the backfield. A.J. Brown, Deebo Samuel, and Nico Collins at the wide receiver position. If you're loving the content and the conversation, make sure you hit the follow button. Make sure you're a follower of Buttfumble Sports. James Conner comes off the board. Jennifer is in an auto draft. That's why Kyle Juszczyk came off the board. Agus took DJ Moore. Great pick. DJ Moore being on the board. 6th pick. 6th round, 3rd pick. I really like that one. Top running backs on the board right now. DeAndre Swift, Ramondre Stevenson, David Montgomery, Najee Harris. So those are the top 4 running backs. Top 4 wide receivers, George Pickens, T. Higgins, Keenan Allen, Tank Dell. George Pickens just came off the board. Maybe we're going to see a run on wide receiver here in the 6th round. 6th round has had James Conner, DJ Moore, George Pickens so far. T. Higgins went next. Starting to see the wide receivers go. DeAndre Swift went. Gabe Lester. Gabe Lester, I'm loving your draft, kid. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Puka Nacua, Josh Allen, Sam Laporta, Malik Neighbors, DeAndre Swift. Obviously, you need help with the running back position, but really solid team so far. Maybe I would have skipped Josh Allen and gone running back. Maybe I would have waited on Malik Neighbors for a running back, but I like what I'm seeing from your draft so far. I'm on the clock. I need a tight end. I said I wanted Dalton Kincaid. I got him. I waited a whole round and I got him. So I really like my squad. So far, I have Anthony Richardson, Breece Hall, Josh Jacobs, Drake London, DK Metcalf, and Dalton Kincaid. That's my starting squad so far as I look for, obviously, some depth, and I look for a flex. But I'm very happy with what I'm seeing so far from my team. Really pleased. Really pleased. Surprise, surprise, Elliott Robinson took the Eagles' defense way too early. Guys, don't take defenses early. Don't take kickers too early. I know there are plenty of people that are going to do that, but it's really not worth the draft capital being sacrificed to take them. Wait. There's plenty of opportunity to get the kicker of your dreams. Elliott Robinson took David Montgomery. Bit disappointed there because that was going to be my next running back. I'm going to look towards the wide receiver position. Someone I have my eye on that I'm really excited about drafting now. Right now, I have 2 wide receivers, London, Metcalf. I'm going Terry McLaurin. Keep your eyes on Terry McLaurin. He has never had a situation as good as he has now from a coaching standpoint, from a personnel standpoint, obviously from a quarterback standpoint. So I'm very big on Terry McLaurin. Keep your eyes on him. So Terry McLaurin was my pick. Dak Prescott followed him by Josh Waldrop. AJ took Tank Dell. Tony Pollard followed. We're in the 7th round of a 15-round draft. Again, we're going to do this draft, and we're going to do another one. If you guys are about it, I'm probably going to make the next draft an 8-team league, so we're going to switch it up, make it a bit smaller. But if you do want to be a part of that next one, DM me on Instagram now. That way you're all lined up and ready to go. Because the moment we fill up that league, we will draft. Kirk Cousins comes off the board in the 7th round. El Pinche is going to make the back-to-back picks. Last pick of the 7th round, then the 8th round. Javier, I'll hook you up with a link once we're done with this draft. Who do I think wins best QB this season? Who wins best QB? It's Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, you got to DM me on Instagram. El Pinche, love the Jared Goff draft pick. Love the Xavier Worthy pick. Love what El Pinche's doing. Will Shipley comes off. Jennifer's in the auto draft, so it's throwing me off. Kyler Murray comes off the board in round number 8. Could be a sleeper play there. Asshat subscribes. Thanks for subscribing. And yes, we will do subscriber-only shows for our fantasy football coverage. We're going to do a lot of subscriber-only shows. Asshat, welcome back to the community. Dallas Goedert, gone in the 8th round. Our first kicker comes off the board. Vince Ochoa took Justin Tucker in the 8th round again. Not something I would do. I would wait. Elliott Robinson, do I like Brock Purdy? I really don't. I think there are a lot of other quarterbacks that I prefer. Keep in mind, there's value in quarterbacks that can run. Brock Purdy may a little bit to scramble, but he's not going to get a lot of touchdowns on the ground. So I don't think he presents as much value as you may think. Kyle Klein, next on the draft, picks Calvin Ridley. 8th round, 7th pick, Calvin Ridley after Christian Kirk. Now we're getting to some interesting times now. 8th round, now we're starting to see who's done their homework and who hasn't, who's done the research and who hasn't. 8th round, halfway through the draft, now we find out who understands the depth at running back, who's willing to go in certain spots. Raheem Mostert goes next. Marquise Hollywood Brown goes next. I'm going to go Devin Singletary. I mentioned him earlier. I think he's a good sleeper play. I like him as a third running back on my team. He has an 11th week bye. Doesn't conflict with my two running backs who are Breece Hall and Josh Jacobs. So I really like that combination. David start, bench sit. Pickens, Christian Kirk, Godwin. As of right now, I'd probably start. I'd go Pickens 1, Godwin 2, Kirk I think number 3. I just have question marks. Kicker and defense coming off the board. Don't agree with those picks at all. I'm sticking with wide receiver on this one. And everything I've heard, Ladd McConkey is the number 1 wide receiver for the Chargers. Everything I've heard, Ladd McConkey is the number 1 wide receiver for the Chargers. I can get a wide receiver 1 on a team in the 9th round and they have Justin Herbert. I draft Ladd McConkey every single time under that scenario. He's my 4th wide receiver to go with Drake London, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin. So I really like that. He doesn't have a bye week that conflicts with any of them. I don't have a bye week hell. Bye week 12, bye week 14. But not really that bad. So Ladd McConkey for me, Rome Odunze follows. So the rookie wide receivers coming off the board in round 9. Sounds about right for a few of them, not all of them, but those two, it certainly makes sense. I'm actually surprised Jackson Smith-Njigba has lasted as long as he has. Don't be surprised if he takes a big step forward. Don't be surprised if he actually emerges as one of the better sleeper wide receivers in this season, especially early on. T.J. Hawkinson comes off the board in round 9. Hopefully he's healthy after that awful injury last year. Gabe Lester. Gabe, you've had a really good draft so far. Really love your squad. Running back, you're still kind of weak, though. Can you get a third running back that you like? I don't know. Not a lot of depth out there right now. Asshat, you're the man. Appreciate it. Let's go get you some fantasy football wins. Austin Eckler comes off the board in round 9. So round 9 is really interesting. There's some people who are reaching on kickers and on defense. There are some people who are taking rookie wide receivers. There are people who are taking brand names that for some reason are discounted, like Hawkinson or Austin Eckler. So round 9, round 8, that's where you're seeing that kind of fall off from that general knowledge that everyone kind of has the players they really like to who's kind of finding their lottery draft tickets. You know, who's going to win on some of these sleeper plays. Jackson Smith-Njigba finally comes off the board. Jennifer takes him with the 11th pick of round 9. Really like that pick. El Pinche now going round 9, round 10 about to start. This is a full PPR 12-team draft. The next draft we're going to do another draft immediately after this, is going to be just an 8-team league. It's just going to be an 8-team PPR league. So if you guys are up for that, DM me on Instagram. Butt Fumble Sports, DM me on Instagram, and you can be a part of that draft as well. If you're watching over on YouTube, if you're watching over on TikTok, Twitch, Kick, Instagram Live, whatever you're watching on, make sure that you guys are hitting us up and getting involved. We're here to help you guys get better for fantasy football season. Obviously, we're going to play these leagues all season long. Just a way to engage with you guys off the air. Deontay Johnson just went. The 49ers defense came off the board. I'm still waiting on my defense. I probably won't take a defense for another couple of rounds. Ravens came off. 49ers came off the board. Those are the only two defenses so far. Gabe Lester, who's had a really good draft. Gabe, got to give you a lot of credit. Takes Tajay Spears. Interesting pick. Running back, there's not a lot of depth there, so you got to find the guys who maybe could fill in with an injury. Keep your eyes on Blake Corum. Some reason Kyron Williams goes down. He's got some value. I think J.K. Dobbins is an interesting one as well for the Chargers. He's got a new life there signing with them. So two players that actually do have my attention. That's Blake Corum and J.K. Dobbins. Frankly, given the difficulty of drafting running backs, I'm going to go with a running back here. And again, I'm going to take a bit of a flyer. I'm going to go with J.K. Dobbins. I know he's coming off some injury history, but being in Los Angeles, they don't have a terrible offensive line. I kind of like it. He's my fourth running back, so it just adds to my depth. Kind of like the play. I'm a little heavy on the Chargers on my bench with McConkey and Dobbins, but frankly, don't hate it. Don't hate it as, again, players that are truly just filling up my bench unless they have a really good matchup. If the Chargers face a bad defense, could be a good time to start and stack both of them. DeAndre Hopkins out for 4 to 6 weeks after suffering a knee injury. DeAndre Hopkins out 4 to 6 weeks after suffering a knee injury. That's breaking news that we just got in our draft. First pick of the 11th round, Blake Corum comes off the board. I'm going back to wide receiver. Brian Thomas is an interesting one, but I mentioned I'm very big on Jameson Williams. I think he could have a really big breakout year. Love that I'm getting him in the 11th round. Frankly, guys, I'm sorry about it. I love my team. Love my team so far. I drafted third pick. So far, my team is Anthony Richardson at quarterback, Breece Hall, Josh Jacobs, Devin Singletary, and J.K. Dobbins at running back. My wide receivers are Drake London, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Ladd McConkey, and Jameson Williams. My tight end is Dalton Kincaid. Brock Bowers went after my Jameson Williams pick. Josh, that was a great pick by you. Thought about taking Brock Bowers. Really tight on that, but I kind of wanted to invest in the Lions offense where I could, and I thought Williams would be gone by then. So I did take Jameson Williams. But that said, really like the Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers went in the 11th round. Keep your eye on that. If you're in a snake draft that has Brock Bowers available after the 9th round, that is a player worth taking. So we're in now the 12th round of our fantasy football draft. It is a 12-team PPR draft. If you guys want to join our next fantasy football draft, DM me on Instagram, ButtFumble Sports. JP Campos, yes, I do like the Royals on the money line tonight. We do have our picks for the MLB schedule, so if you guys have questions about that, we are going in that direction, though. Javier, don't worry. No buy-in. These are free. Now, Rival Fantasy did pay out these leagues last year. I'm not sure they're going to do it this year, but they did pay out the leagues last year. Ethan, should I keep Kyron Williams, Marvin Harrison Jr., Pacheco, or Neighbors? Why can't I keep all of them? Why do I have to get rid of any of them? Did you do baseball yet? Beautiful stroke. I am going to recap our baseball picks. I do have the Orioles on the money line, the Royals on the money line, the Braves on the money line, the Angels on the money line, and I also have the Cubs plus 1.5. Ooh, AJ got the Jets defense. Really like that pick. We're in the 12th round now. This is the time I'd start looking at defense. I'm going to take the Browns defense. Best defense last year. No reason for me to believe they'll have a big fall off. Jets were on my radar. AJ, you drafting the Jets prompted me to take the Browns. I probably would have waited until round 13 if the Jets hadn't gone where they did. Those are the two defenses I probably like the most. Cleveland Browns, New York Jets, got my eye on them. I like that I got mine in the 12th, 13th round. Feels about right. Now, I'm looking at tight end. I need some depth at the tight end position. I'll wait on kicker until the 14th or 15th round. I'm not going to force that one. Cole Kmet just came off the board. I need depth at tight end. I'm going to take Isaiah Likely. It is a bit of a stretch, but he played well last year. I could see some more two tight end sets. So I'll take Isaiah Likely. It really isn't the pick that I wanted to make. Cole Kmet probably would have been better, but Carter Newman got in ahead of me. Dalton Schultz went ahead of that. Frankly, the run on tight end at the start of round 13 kind of hurt me there. I would have liked getting Dalton Schultz or Cole Kmet a little bit more, but Isaiah Likely isn't a pick that I'm hating on. Another kicker comes off the board in round 13. Again, I'm going to wait until at least round 14 for my kicker and snake drafts. No reason for me to go early. Just doesn't make sense. I think there's still value to be found in round 13 for positions that you need to find a backup kicker. You can find players every single week, even on the waiver wire. Excited to be with you guys for this fantasy football season. Make sure you're following. Make sure you're subscribing. Jose, Titans under 6.5 wins is a lock. We'll see. Zachy Cham, in a 10-man half PPR, what's better? The 7th pick. The 7th pick because I want that turn. I want that turn and being able to get a running back. And then I think I'd rather have 2 top 10 players, 2 top 12 players than a first overall pick and a 20th overall pick. So that's where I come out on that. I think 1.07 is a better spot. Best pick in a 9-man league. Again, I think drafting 7 and 8 is a great spot this year because I think a lot of that 1, 2, 3, 4, they're gonna be kind of forced to take Christian McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. You know who falls? Good running backs. So I kind of like being in that 7, 8, 9 spot, especially when I can double dip on running backs for that first and second round. You'll hear me say it a lot. I'm big on the running back position early in the draft. I can find wide receivers. Perfect example. 14th round of our draft right now. Vince Ochoa just found Xavier Leggett. Xavier Leggett is a talented wide receiver. He's a lottery pick. He's a lottery ticket. Maybe he pays off, maybe he doesn't. But he could actually perform really well. And you got him in the 14th round. I think it's a really good move. Speaking of taking a lottery pick, I'm going to take this one on Rashid Shaheed, taking it 14th round. Again, just another wide receiver, adding some more depth at that position. I have a lot of wide receiver depth, but I also have running back depth, so I felt good about that. I'll take a kicker in the 15th round, and that is going to cap my team. A quick recap of my team is at quarterback, Anthony Richardson. At running back, Breece Hall, Josh Jacobs. At wide receiver, Drake London, DK Metcalf. At tight end, I went Dalton Kincaid. At flex, I went Terry McLaurin. At kicker, I just drafted Matt Gay. At defense, I went Cleveland Browns. And my bench is Devin Singletary, Ladd McConkey, J.K. Dobbins, Jamison Williams, Isaiah Likely, and Rashid Shaheed. That is my first team of the year. I am pumped. Javier Martinez, I appreciate it. We're going to do leagues on Rival Fantasy for now, but I would love to maybe do a money league with you when we consider it. Is Mike Tomlin winning streak in jeopardy this year? I don't think so. Obviously, it all depends on the quarterback position, but the roster, very, very strong. Our first league of the year is done. It is set. Thank you, everybody, for participating in that draft. We are now going to do another league. Right away, we are doing another league. So if you guys want to get in on another fantasy football league, don't worry. We're getting right to it. Where am I here? Season long. Okay, we're going to start a new league. We're going to make this an 8-team league, okay, everybody? 8-team league. This is going to be BFS number 2. This is going to be a free league. 8-team league. We are going to have this as a snake draft. 30 seconds worked pretty well. This is going to be a PPR league, everybody. PPR league. Full PPR, okay? So 8-team, full PPR. If you want to join, DM me on Instagram. We are loading it up. Caesar, we're going to let the people who weren't a part of the first one join this one. first. So give it a moment, Carter, and then we'll let you guys in. Mastermind, we are going to let you join the league. So Mastermind, here you go. Join in our fantasy league. Jordan wants to get in on this league. There you go. Javi has been saying he wants to get in on it. You just got the link. I'm Justin. You're getting the link for the league. Go sign in right now. Ty. So we're loading up. This is going to be an 8-team full PPR. 8-team full PPR. If you guys want to join, DM me on Instagram. And we'll get our second fantasy football league teams underway. Our second fantasy football league draft underway. Again, this is going to be an 8-team full PPR. What's the best draft pick for a 10-man PPR? I'm going to keep saying it. 7, 10, really love those spots. So we have, this is going to be an 8-team league. 2 spots already taken, 6 spots available. So if you want to get in, DM me now. It's going to go quick. Zachy Chan, 4 keepers options. JJ, Brees, Gibbs, Puka, ARF. Wow, you've got a great team. Great team. Got to keep Brees Hall. Got to keep Jahmyr Gibbs. I'd keep Justin Jefferson, and I'd keep Puka Nacua. As much as I like AR-15, it's close between Puka and Garrett Wilson, actually. I might lean towards Garrett Wilson, but it's very close. JJ, Brees Hall, and Jahmyr Gibbs are must-keeps for me. Robinson, you could probably, or Richardson, rather, you could still probably draft. So you could get him even if you let him go. But you got to keep JJ, Brees Hall, and Gibbs. Then it's between Puka and Garrett Wilson. Very close between those two. Kind of a coin flip for me. If you guys want to get in on this fantasy, Bobby's sending you the link. Again, if you want to get in on it, now's the time. Doing our second league of the evening. 4 spots filled, 4 spots to go. 5 spots filled, 3 spots to go. By the way, a quick recap of our picks for this evening. On baseball games, here are our picks. We have Royals on the money line. Royals on the money line. Orioles on the money line. Orioles on the money line. Braves on the money line. Braves on the money line. Cubs plus 1.5. Cubs plus 1.5. And Angels on the money line. Angels on the money line. So that's Royals, Orioles, Braves, Angels, all on the money line. And we like the Cubs to cover. Of course, if you want to get our picks every single day for free, just DM me on Instagram, Buttfumble Sports. DM me on Instagram to get all of our picks every single day for free. We love giving out our picks for free every day. Mo Beasy, thanks for the love. Appreciate you guys contributing to the show, contributing gifts. Really appreciate all those support that you guys show us. Hope you guys are following us. Hope you guys are subscribing. We will do subscriber-only shows for our fantasy football content this year. Thoughts on Tyreek Hill this year? I think he regresses. I do think that he's still a top 10, top 12 wide receiver, but the expectations we have for him, given his age, given the division he's in and the secondaries he'll be facing, the cornerback ones that he'll be facing, there's just a lot of reason for me to have doubt that Tyreek Hill can continue to be at the level that we kind of build around him as a top 4 fantasy wide receiver. We have 7 spots filled, 1 spot left for this 8-team full PPR league. This is an 8-team full PPR draft that we're about to have. Again, this is going to be our second fantasy football league of the night, our second fantasy football league of the season. We're gonna do fantasy leagues almost every time we come live. So if you guys love fantasy football, Buttfumble Sports is the place for you. DM me on Instagram if you want my picks. DM me on Instagram if you want to join fantasy leagues. That's how you get a hold of me. That's how you get the links. That's how you get access to everything that we put out. Easiest way to join everything that we are a part of. Vince, if you want to join, we have 1 spot left. So we have 1 spot left for this league, this 8-team PPR league, and then we will probably wrap it up and get some dinner. Even keeping Brees Hall, you keep Garrett Wilson as well. Zachy Chan, that did come into play. Really, the thought around it for me is Garrett Wilson is a lock-in wide receiver 1 for the Jets. Puka Nacua is probably wide receiver 1, but I keep in mind that Cooper Kupp is still there and is going to eat a lot of the targets that he would normally, that Puka Nacua could otherwise get. So reasons for me to kind of think about it. Okay, league is loaded. Let's set up the draft. It's going to be a snake draft, 30 seconds on the clock. We are going to set this draft time for 6:25. 6:25, the draft order is going to be randomized. We just randomized it. I am unfortunately the first overall pick. Believe me, it's actually not what I want. So I am the first overall pick for this draft. I will take Christian McCaffrey, letting you guys know now. We're going to start this draft in 1 minute, everybody. So if you are in this 8-team PPR league, we are going to start the draft in 1 minute. 1 minute until we start this draft. Sean S. DM'd you about a league and didn't hear back. Are you sure? Because I'm looking at my messages. Butt Fumble Sports on Instagram. DM me. Butt Fumble Sports on Instagram. Should be able to get a hold of me. I'm pretty available. DM me on Instagram, Butt Fumble Sports, if you want to join our fantasy football league with us. We're doing an 8-team, full PPR snake draft in 40 seconds, everybody. This is our second draft of the night, second draft of the season. Welcome to August 1st. Welcome to football season. Football kicks off in about 2 hours. Football kicks off in 2 hours, everybody. If you're not pumped, go get yourself checked out because you need to be. It is an exciting time as a sports fan. The NFL season kicks off in about 2 hours. Could not be happier. We have our second fantasy football draft about to get underway in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Our second draft of the night is underway. I'm taking Christian McCaffrey with my first pick. So, I was the first overall pick. I don't love it, but I kind of am forced into it. I will take Christian McCaffrey there because I do prefer him over CeeDee Lamb, especially in a PPR league, so I'll go there as well. CeeDee Lamb goes number 2. T. Melch takes Tyreek Hill number 3. Josh Waldrip takes Breece Hall. Agus at number 5. It's that 5-6 spot. That's going to be interesting. Do you take Justin Jefferson? Do you take Bijan Robinson? Do you take Jamar Chase? Bijan Robinson comes off the board with the 5th overall pick. At number 6 overall, Carter Newman goes Justin Jefferson. Ricky at the 7th overall pick. Again, this is only an 8-team league, so it'll be a quick turnaround. Jamar Chase off the board. So far, in the first round, we had 5 wide receivers, 3 running backs. Vince Ochoa doubling up on the Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs. Don't love the double up, but it's going to be really good in terms of the offense, but you are going to be in a bye week hell at some point. Ricky, after taking Jamar Chase with his first overall pick, his first pick of the first round, 7th pick overall. Where do you go? A.J. Brown doubling up on wide receiver. Jamar Chase and A.J. Brown going in the first and second round. Kind of interested by that. Think Zamir White has a breakout year. Mo Beasley, I certainly like him for rounds 12 through 15 as a breakout player. Carter Newman, Puka Nacua off the board. So Carter Newman has Justin Jefferson and Puka Nacua. Saquon Barkley comes off the board. Agus with Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley. Really like those 2 running back picks, Agus. Really big on those. Waldrip, Josh Waldrip takes Kyren Williams. Jonathan Taylor off the board. Travis Etienne off the board. I'm going to take Garrett Wilson. I do like that Garrett Wilson play. I'm going to go back to the well on running back. I'm going to go Pacheco. I'm not going to go with Derrick Henry. Don't like him as much. I'll take Pacheco. So far I have Christian McCaffrey, Isaiah Pacheco, and Garrett Wilson. Those are my first 3 picks, not in that order. JM takes Devontae Adams with the 2nd pick of the 3rd round. Marvin Harrison Jr. comes off the board in the third round as well. Marvin Harrison Jr. getting a lot of love in that late second, early third round, depending on how big the league size is. Chris Olave goes 4th overall in the third round. Pollard or Spears for RB3, Tony Pollard. Eric, I'd go Tony Pollard until I hear otherwise. Keep Breece Hall for a 6th or CeeDee Lamb for a 3rd. I like Breece Hall with the 6th, to be honest. I think I prefer him, as crazy as that sounds. Where do you rank drafting Jamo? I really like it if you're getting them later in a draft. If you're getting them round 9 or later, I think there's value. Maybe rounds 10 or later, I think there's value. Travis Kelce comes off the board, last pick of the third round. Haven't had a quarterback taken, first tight end taken. Like what I'm seeing from this group so far. Vince Ochoa has Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, Travis Kelce, Drake London. Really like the team you're building, buddy. Ricky so far is Jamar Chase, A.J. Brown, Josh Jacobs. Loving the picks. Expect him to go back to running back. Not a lot of depth at running back right now. Josh Allen, first quarterback off the board. So in the 4th round, first quarterback taken is Josh Allen. This is an 8-man PPR league. That makes some sense. I like that everybody waited. I think the 4th round's about the right time. I'm personally not about Josh Allen this year. I think the receiving core of the Bills has too many question marks. Carter Newman goes Jalen Hurts right after, so a bit of a run on quarterback here in the 4th round. Really interesting to see where people are taking quarterbacks. Again, I'm going to wait round 6, 7, 8. That's probably where I'll end up taking a quarterback. I think running back and wide receiver have too much value for me to reach on a quarterback too early. Nico Collins comes off the board in the 4th round. Deebo Samuel follows him. So quarterbacks and wide receivers have dominated the 4th round. Right as I say that, Rachaad White comes off the board. Last 2 picks of round number 4. I am the last pick of the 4th round. So far, I have Christian McCaffrey, Isaiah Pacheco, and Garrett Wilson on my team. Love the team I'm building. Mike Evans comes off the board. I'm going James Cook. This Bills offense is going to be largely built around their running game, so I really like James Cook as a bit of depth at the running back position for me. Wide receiver now, Michael Pittman Jr. sitting there. Love getting him. So, my picks so far, I have 5 picks made. Here's my team. Christian McCaffrey, Isaiah Pacheco, and James Cook are my running backs. No conflicts at the for bye weeks. And my 2 wide receivers are Garrett Wilson, Michael Pittman Jr. Really love the team that I'm building so far. 5 rounds through our 8-man PPR league. Appreciate you guys being with us. Hope you guys are loving the content and the conversation. I love talking fantasy football with you guys, and we will be doing it for the next 5, 6, 7 weeks. Even like I mentioned, into the season, we'll be doing some leagues that actually start after week 1 or after week 2 to give people who have had a late start to fantasy an opportunity to get acquainted with it and get involved. But we are hoping to go over 100 leagues that we create on Rival Fantasy. Last year we made 40 in about, 2 weeks. We have about a month and a half. So let's see what we can do, everybody. Should I go Hill or Achan? I'd go Hill. Would you keep Swift in the 6th round? I actually don't hate it. I think DeAndre Swift could be a sleeper. I think he's got value, actually. 6th round isn't a terrible play. Who should I pick with the 3rd pick overall? I think it's a question between Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Breece Hall, Christian McCaffrey. I think those are the 4. Justin Jefferson falls a little bit for me, but if you want to think of him in that terms, you can. In the 6th round, we've had Jordan Love, Dalton Kincaid, Devontae Smith, DJ Moore, Jalen Waddle, Patrick Mahomes so far. That's what we've gotten. Kind of works in my favor, to be honest. A couple quarterbacks have gone. I'm not interested in taking quarterbacks yet. I need a tight end. and Mark Andrews is available, I'm going to take Mark Andrews as my tight end. I'm also going to take DeAndre Swift. I can get more wide receivers. I say that, and there's value at wide receiver right now. I'm going to take Mr. Dependable. I'm going to take Amari Cooper. Not usually a player that I take, but in the 7th round as my 3rd wide receiver. I actually really like Amari Cooper. Incredibly reliable in that Browns offense. I like the chemistry that he has with Deshaun Watson. I like it even more when it's not Deshaun Watson at times because of his health issues. But he doesn't have a bye week conflict with Garrett Wilson or Michael Pittman. So that wasn't a pick that I expected to take. But first pick of the 7th round, really like it. My starting lineup so far is Christian McCaffrey, Isaiah Pacheco, Garrett Wilson, Michael Pittman Jr., Mark Andrews, and then I have James Cook as my flex. Amari Cooper right now is on the bench. Yeah, I could have gone Zay Flowers. I didn't want to double up on the Ravens offense after taking Mark Andrews. I could have gone Stephon Diggs. I'm not sure how I feel about him in that busy Texans offense. A lot of mouths to feed in that offense. Not sure I'm there yet. So that's why I went Amari Cooper. Maybe not who I expected to go with, but certainly a good play for me there. And I got my tight end, so I feel pretty secure about that. I can get my backup at the right time, but pretty loaded in my starting positions. I need a quarterback as a starter. I need my kicker. I need my defense, but I'm okay with that. Ricky took DeAndre Swift, 7th round, 7th pick. I love that pick. I thought about taking him with my 7th round pick, but decided I wanted the wide receiver a little bit more after taking James Cook as my backup running back. But I might regret that. DeAndre Swift, again, for the Bears, might be a really nice bench running back to have, sub in some weeks where you're facing a bad run defense. Vince Ochoa takes Stephon Diggs. I do like that pick at the end of the 7th round. Malik Neighbors is at the top of the board now for wide receivers, along with George Pickens, T. Higgins, Keenan Allen, and Tank Dell. Running backs are Aaron Jones, James Conner, Ramondre Stevenson. Vince Ochoa goes with a kicker early. I never understand that. Justin Tucker comes off the board. I understand if you really love a kicker, but in the 8th round, really? I don't get that one. Malik Neighbors comes off 3rd pick of the 8th round. Personally, I'm looking at the running backs right now. James Conner, Ramondre Stevenson, David Montgomery, Najee Harris, Zach Moss. I'm going to get one of those running backs. James Conner comes off the board for Josh Waldrop. David Montgomery comes off the board for Team Melch. So a run on running backs. I'm going to take Ramondre Stevenson. I'm not crazy about him, but to get another, what is a starting running back, he is RB1 for the Patriots. He's my 4th running back. I love the depth there, so I go there. I don't have a quarterback yet. I took him in my last league. I'm going to take him in this league. I'm taking Anthony Richardson. I'm really high on him. Anthony Richardson just has a lot of upside for me. He's got a big arm. He can run as long as he stays healthy. I think he could be the Cam Newton, the Cam Newton Award for fantasy quarterback this year. So my starting lineup so far is Anthony Richardson, Christian McCaffrey, Isaiah Pacheco, Garrett Wilson, Michael Pittman Jr. Don't love that I doubled up on the Colts, but don't hate it either, given the depth I have at wide receiver. I also have Mark Andrews, James Cook, Amari Cooper, and Ramondre Stevenson. Brian, I agree with you. I think I'm in a good spot. Brian, I love the AR pick where I got him. First pick of the 9th round. I think it's great value. The Don, I think I'd still go Pittman in the 5th. I think you could draft Anthony Richardson anyways. So I think I'd rather have Michael Pittman. There are so many quarterbacks to draft. So Anthony Richardson I like, but I don't want to hold on to him. I think I'd still prefer Michael Pittman. Brian, DeAndre Swift is on the Bears now. Appreciate you guys joining the show. Hope you guys are loving the content and the conversation. Again, if you want every single pick that I make every day for my sports betting, you can find that on the SHARPZ app. DM me on Instagram, Buttfumble Sports on Instagram to find that. We are doing a fantasy football draft right now. We are going to do a fantasy football draft almost every single day, give you guys the opportunity to draft against us, participate against us. We do that on Rival Fantasy. So again, DM me on Instagram if that's something you're interested in. Easiest way to engage with us off the air is via Instagram. We are right now in the 10th round of an 18 PPR league. This will be the last league we do of the night. We've done 2 so far. We've got some baseball to watch, some football to watch. I think I'm going to order some wings because if it's the kickoff of football season, I feel like I need to get some wings, right? Right? I feel that's good. I am looking at who I be drafting right now. I could use a backup tight end to Mark Andrews given his health history. Feel good about my backup running back position. Could always use more wide receivers. We're currently in the 10th round. Slowing down a little bit here. Back-to-back wide receivers taken now 3 in a row. Kirk, Keenan Allen, and Calvin Ridley. Nick Chubb just went. Nick Chubb finally comes off the board. I'm going to take a bit of a flyer here. I like Rashee Rice. I'm getting him as another wide receiver. I'm only going to draft one Kansas City wide receiver at a time, so he'll be the one I take. I'm also going to take Jake Ferguson as my backup tight end. Really like Brock Bowers, but I like Ferguson more in that Cowboys offense. I think that he's going to be a really important player, especially as they kind of limit their offense in the running game with no Tony Pollard. My taking of Jake Ferguson kind of led a run on tight ends. After Ferguson went Brock Bowers, then TJ Hawkinson. Josh Waldrop took Devin Singletary with the 4th pick in the 11th round. Josh, love that pick. Really good, strong pick. When you're getting a team's RB1 in the 11th round, that's a great pick for depth. I already did that kind of with Ramondre Stevenson. I took Ramondre Stevenson in the 8th round. Obviously, I feel good about that, but Singletary in the 11th, that is Steel City. We call that Pittsburgh. Steel City. Hayden, should I do this trade giving CMC, Higgins, and Tua, getting Breece Hall, Jalen Hurts, and Olave? Personally, yes, I would actually make that trade. I think you're upgrading at every position except maybe running back, but it's pretty close. We are in the 12th round. 4 rounds left of our draft as we work our way through an 8-man PPR league. Make sure you follow, make sure you subscribe, make sure you're with us every time we go live. John, great to see you. John, I'm not going to do another league tonight, but we will do another league tomorrow. So guys, make sure you join us for tomorrow's show. We will do more fantasy leagues. We will do more sports betting research. We didn't do a lot of research today. Small MLB schedule, so we were quick on it. Defenses are being drafted in the 12th round. Snake draft, 8-man PPR, pick number 1 of the 12th round, 49ers. Pick number 3 of the 12th round, Ravens. So we're seeing defenses go in round 12 of an 8-man PPR league. Really interested there. Josh, love the draft you're having. Josh, I love the draft you're having, making some really strong picks. Josh Waldrop, shout out to you. Okay, that run on defense had me a little bit worried. There are 4 rounds left. I'm going to get my defense while I can. Sooner than I'd want, but I'll take the Jets right now. I've got the back-to-back being at that turn. I'll also go back. I'm going to go with a quarterback here. I'm going to take Jared Goff as my backup quarterback. I think he could have a very big year. So I just wanted a backup quarterback. I only have 2 picks left. I have my depth at wide receiver. I have my depth at running back. I even have depth at tight end. So I wanted to get a backup quarterback. I think Jared Goff and the Lions are playing so many games inside a dome this year. I think that really plays in his favor, especially statistically. So I'll take Jared Goff as a very late backup quarterback play. I think there's value there in round 13. Joel, do I like CJ Stroud as a starter? Sure, but I still wouldn't draft him too high. He doesn't have the kind of running numbers you would like. So, T, here are my baseball picks. Baseball picks. I like Royals on the money line. I like the Orioles on the money line. I like the Braves on the money line. I like the Cubs plus 1.5. And I like the Angels on the money line. That's where I made my picks for today's baseball games. Ricky, you want to join one of our drafts? DM me on Instagram, ButtFumble Sports. We will do more leagues tomorrow. I might do another league tonight. I might do another show. I might do another one. It would be subscriber only, which probably won't get a lot of love. But we will do another show tomorrow with obviously a lot of leagues. So make sure you join us tomorrow. We will do a show at 4:30 tomorrow, everybody. 4:30 tomorrow. And we'll do more fantasy football leagues and obviously more sports betting research. So if you want to join a league, DM me on Instagram, ButtFumble Sports on Instagram. And of course, join us tomorrow at 4:30. Lanny One knows, Team Cash and Tickets. John, great to see you. Appreciate you guys being with us. Should I do this trade? Trade CMC and Higgins for Bijan and A.J. Brown. The answer is yes. I do like that trade. I do like that trade. I'm about to make my last picks of this draft. I'm going to go Jake Moody as my kicker. I'll take another wide receiver. I'll take, a lot of good wide receivers left on the board. I'll take Christian Watson, kind of a sleeper here. Last pick of a 8-man PPR league. Christian Watson, not bad. Here is a recap of my team. I was the first overall pick for an 8-man PPR. I had Anthony Richardson as my quarterback, Christian McCaffrey and Isaiah Pacheco as my starting running backs, Garrett Wilson and Michael Pittman as my starting wide receivers. Mark Andrews is my tight end. I currently have James Cook in the flex. My kicker's Jake Moody. My defense is the New York Jets. And my bench is Amari Cooper, Ramondre Stevenson, Rashee Rice, Jake Ferguson, Jared Goff, and Christian McCaffrey. That is my team for our second fantasy football league that we've drafted this evening, our second league of the year so far. We will be drafting more teams. I might come on later tonight and do one. That's only for subscribers, though, on TikTok. So that will be exclusively for subscribers on TikTok if I do it. Otherwise, we will be live tomorrow at 4:30 for everybody. Tomorrow afternoon, 4:30 for everybody. We'll do sports betting research. We'll do fantasy football leagues. We've got a lot going on. Quick recap of our MLB picks tonight. Royals money line, Orioles money line, Braves money line, Cubs plus 1.5, and Angels on the money line. Reminder, if you want my sports picks every day, the picks I make based on the trends that I find while doing my research every single day, DM me on Instagram, ButtFumble Sports. DM me on Instagram, ButtFumble Sports, and you can get access to every pick I make every single day for free. Doesn't matter who you are. They're never behind a paywall. I never hide them. I never delete them. So make sure you DM me on Instagram if you want every pick that I make every single day for free. Can't wait to be with you guys again tomorrow. Make sure you guys follow. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're with us every time we go live. I love being with you guys. It is so much fun to talk sports with you. I'm so pumped to now be able to talk fantasy football with you every day. Make sure you guys follow. Make sure you hit that subscribe button no matter where you're watching, no matter the platform. Make sure you're a member of this unbelievable community of sports fans that comes together almost every single day. I'll catch you guys at 4:30 tomorrow. That's 4:30 tomorrow. That's Friday, August 2nd, 4:30 on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and on X. So make sure you follow, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you stay healthy, happy, safe, and enjoy the kickoff of the NFL season tonight. I can't wait to see you guys again tomorrow. Until then, goodbye, everybody. Have a great evening.